Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Bay Podcast. This is season 3. I'm your host, LaShauna West, aka Miss West Creative Coach, and season 3 is called Dear Fear. I had to rock it off with my homeboy KhaazRa, and we are going to get started. KhaazRa, can you please introduce yourself for the people before we rock and roll?
Hey, Lashana, my homegirl. Name is KhaazRa. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Really appreciate that. My name is KhaazRa Maaranu. Some people call me Khaaz, and I'm co-founder of a company called Electronic Commerce, which is a payment processing company. For people who don't know what payment processing is, you're familiar with Stripe, you're familiar with PayPal, you're familiar with banks who process brick and mortar, but we also process online as well. So we do both. But that is not all that I do, right? I'm a family man. I like to travel. I like to have fun. I like to help people build their businesses. And so I've even started a website called buildgrowandscale.com because it's going to, anyway, I'll get to that later. So That's who I am.
Awesome. No, I'm actually glad that you explained the whole payment processing thing, because a lot of times we just assume, right? And at the end of the day, with all these different lingos and et cetera, actually, let's break that down, because for our listeners, I really want them to see that how you can take something and make it into an empire, no matter your color, your race, your ethnicity, your background. So just tell us a little bit about deeper into the payment processing entity that you have.
Sure. So first of all, I started off with no sales experience whatsoever. Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about the topic of your program today, there was a lot of fear and trepidation because I had to leave a little comfortable job in Orlando, Florida, to take on this 100% commission gig. I had no previous sales experience. I flew out to California because I saw an ad online, and I went through some kind of like, what happened?
They got you with the ad.
They got me with the ad, right? And then I was like, is this true? And they were like, we could let you talk to one of the sales reps. And I talked to him. He told me how much money he was making. I was like, okay, it must be true. So I flew out, quit my gig, flew out to California, took a 2-week training. I didn't understand a damn thing. Came back to Orlando, Florida, could not sell a thing. Like I couldn't sell anything, right? I thought I was going to be sucking air because everyone told me in my family, if you go to Orlando, Florida, you will be starving. You will die. There's no jobs out there. So I thought that was going to be true. And it was so bad, Lashana, that when I came back from training to Orlando, for about a month and a half, I couldn't sell anything. I was going to report myself missing, right? So because I had 2 small children, right? Like what adult man quits his job with the family, 2 small children, got the baby mama at home, and then says, we all have to leave our apartment. We all have to leave where we are and go live with, my baby's mother's mom. Like, that's not like a proud thing that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And luckily, I remember what this one guy told me. He says, whatever you do, don't quit, right? I've never seen him since then. He said, he was in the industry as well. He said, whatever you do, don't quit. And I stuck to it. And I dropped all the, like the quote unquote professional sales pitches and all that kind of stuff. And I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I know how to relate. I know how to see trouble, avoid trouble, you know what I mean? All those things. Right. And I just said, let me just be myself, and connected, and became the best salesperson they had. And it was a 1099, right? So I ended up making 3 times more money within an 8-month period than I was making at my comfortable salary job. The next year, I quadrupled my income, more time, more freedom, more everything. Mm-hmm. And so while I was working in the industry, though, within almost 2 years, I kind of realized, like, wait a minute, this company that I'm with, they are very successful financially, but they're shady and unethical as hell. They had a law firm called Jones Day. Jones Day represents the White House, represents Apple. I mean, like, this is a big law firm. So the way they would get through some of their unethical practices and class action lawsuits, they just hire a big law firm, guns for hire. You can find attorneys all day to do that. Hire a law firm to beat down the people, right? Because if, let's say, you and I go up against Apple, we probably not going to win because we don't have the capital that they have to hire attorneys. So they just beat us up with paperwork. And in America, whoever has the most money in a lot of cases wins, right? That's how the justice works, unless you riot, right? Right. So anyway, and I'm not promoting rioting. So
disclaimer.
Disclaimer, right? So once I realized, like, wait a minute, I'm making all these sales, I'm helping people I know, they have my personal cell phone number. Some people are friends, some people friends like family. I said, oh my God, I got to get away from this. And so I had an option. They wanted me to be their trainer, to be in their little small inner circle in California. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to teach people that, right? So I had to make a decision. I could get with the program. And remember, I was making good money, right? I'm comfortable. I finally got to do what I wanted to do, which is be able to do what the hell I want to do when I wake up. And I finally got to that point, and it was like I had to make a decision: either go with the bull crap, with the unethical business practices,
right,
or leave and quit. So I chose to quit, right? And so I chose to quit. I went to work with another entity in payment processing, and as a consultant, again, 100% commission. And within 6 months, I was already making more income that I was making in 6 months that I made at the other place. So I'm like, wait a minute, how is that possible? Because the other company was robbing me. So they were robbing. Yeah. So here's the thing: a thief is a thief is a thief. You know, I heard the saying where even if you change the stripes on a zebra, it's still a zebra.
Right.
And that's so true, because they were robbing merchants or clients. They were robbing me too, right? So I'm working at this other company out of New York. 6 months, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. And then all of a sudden they flipped the script. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. So they started charging clients like $200 out of thin air. I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of clients, like literally to flip up a switch, make mad millions, right? Legal, but unethical. So one of the ladies called me. She's like, Khaaz, this is the lady who ran the hospital. They had like 17 locations. She's like, you know, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, just call customer service. It's probably a mistake. They'll fix it. She called customer service. They told her, oh, you could just get the refund from KhaazRa. I'm like, I didn't even make the money. What do you mean get the refund from KhaazRa? So they told me some BS. Oh, it was the bank, blah, 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 blah. They made up some BS. So I had to quit there again. And that's when I decided to start with another guy, which is interesting, with my current partner, who I'm going to say this too. I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say who I'm basically going to have to sue right now, right? So, because
hold up. Take a pause. Let's unpack.
I know, right?
No, the reason why I want to unpack this is because of this. Entrepreneurship is a big hypothesis and a try, test, and tweak, rinse and repeat around and around. And as you're going through those trials, you still have to show up as a father, as a partner, as a son, as a 9-to-5, if you still have it. And I think sometimes we see these people in their Maseratis and their crews and making 10K in an hour, etc. But what you're explaining is the real deal. And I love that you went through these two situations, and I'm sure fear, imposter syndrome, because you said you were going to report yourself missing. I need us to really resonate and listen to that, because that means you was in crisis. You were in a traumatic state being to even consider that. But look at you now, right? And so the third situation is, of course, it sounds like it's quote unquote drama again, but you haven't gave up, you haven't let up, and you don't have an MBA. You were never went through a training curriculum about business. So tell me, how did it propel you, or did it kind of stagnate you on your journey?
A little bit of both, because initially when I was going to report myself missing, to be one of those adult black men, I've never seen an adult black man on a milk box, right? But I saw a milk box, and I said, man, if they can report little white girls on a milk box, maybe they could report me missing. And the reason I was going to do that is because I didn't have any money left to pay for my rent the next month, right? And I'm like, I know you're going to be evicted soon, so that, and then even just to quit my gig, I was definitely fearful, because my daughter was in dance, my son had baseball practice, and I was the only one working, bringing in income at the time. So if it didn't work out, I had a whole lot to lose. Especially when you're single and you have no children, I think it's a little easier to just gamble and make all kinds of investments. That's why you see the people with the different cars and things like that.
Right.
It's okay, but when you have family, now you're risking everybody. And so it definitely caused me to be fearful for sure. But I will say this now that you asked that question, even leaving the first gig, I got my income to a certain point. I don't want to leave that, right? I'm making $16,000 checks at a time, you know, and it wasn't $1 million, but it was more than I had made before on that type of time freedom, right? You know, I was easy making 6 figures. And the next month I was making, and this is all recurring without me even having to work.
Whoa.
And then the second situation, I had to leave that. Currently, at this present moment, my business partner, I won't accuse him, but let's just say he's developed some of the practices that these other entities have done, and I'm just not with that, right?
Yeah.
And so far, in each and every case, this is going to be a new case for me now, a new venture, a new chapter of my life that I'm getting into. It has gotten better. Each and every time I have decided to make the move and get past my fear, and I have fear. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And I'm not the most knowledgeable guy. I'm not the smartest guy. You're right. I don't have an MBA. Nothing ever could have prepared me for this besides, you know, sometimes being still, being quiet, listening, talking to, having supportive people. And I'm going to say this, I'm not the most religious guy. And I hear people, and sometimes it'll make you want to become religious because you get in these situations where the people who you thought were your friends, all your homies and stuff like that, they're not really, I mean, not everybody's going to be there for you, right? True. Not everybody's going to be your friend. I'd be just dead serious with them. I mean, some people have really shown me their true colors, right? Because I'm like, wait a minute, you were with me because of what I could do for you, because of the money that I can possibly make for you. This was no real friendship like that, you know what I mean? And it'll make you realize what's more important in life. It'll make you realize who's really with you in life. It'll make you go deeper within. Yep. But up to this day, so far, and I'm knocking on wood, this is really a wooden desk here, right? It has every situation. The next situation has been better. I'm just going to say this last thing about that. I was in a relationship, I guess maybe 9 years ago now. My wife and I have been married. We've been together about 9, married, you know, like I think 7 of those years. I shouldn't say I think, but married like 7 of those years. And I was with this girl. She's super beautiful. You just look at her and have an orgasm, right? And right. And it was a very bad relationship for 2 years. She was probably the most selfish person I've ever been with in my life, right? And I hope she never listens to this, because I think she's, you know, a good person. She just had a very traumatic childhood, but super selfish, wasn't good for me, wasn't for me, was really for me for what I could do for her, you know what I mean? And, you know, I had people tell me, like, one of my best friends I grew up with, he was like, dude, he says, man, listen, I'm telling you, man, if I've ever been correct, this one ain't the one for you, bro. You know, like, it was just glaringly in my face, but when you caught up, you don't want to believe it. Mm-hmm. And so you're fearful, if I leave, if I don't have this one, I can never find somebody else again. Right. I'm gonna be stuck. You know, I will never get a beautiful woman, or no one, you know, I'll just be whatever. And I'm a guy, right? You know, guys don't really, some guys act like that. We try to act up, but some guys get caught up too. Right? Of course. Right. And so, but when I left her, the whole world changed. I mean, it totally flipped the script, you know, not to like try to put her down or anything like that, but she realized, wait a minute, I had a freaking diamond over here. Right. And the next person that I met was the absolute most beautiful person outside and inside in the world. We currently have our baby today. I could not ask for a better woman today. But if I had stayed in that crap, if I had stayed at that first entity, the payment processing company that was shady as hell, you know,
you probably would be in jail. You probably would be in jail.
Well, you know, here's the thing. They do things that are legal, but it's super unethical. So, you know, I wouldn't feel good about myself. I have stress. You know, I'd be hiding, because all those guys in payment process, that's what they do. They do dirt and then they hide. You never can find out who they are. So it wouldn't have been a good look. I would never have a legacy or anything like that.
And you know what? At first, when I said you probably would be in jail, I meant physically. But if you think about it, you would still be in jail emotionally and mentally, not being able to show up authentically and who you are and talk with integrity. For some of us, that starts to eat at our mindset, right? And when that happens, it shows in everything, in your personal relationship.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So it
Wells
sounds
Fargo,
like,
as a matter of fact, Wells Fargo. I don't know if you remember what happened to them on, they were basically opening up bank accounts because the management, the leaders at the top were incentivizing the people at the bottom to basically take money from clients, open up bank accounts that shouldn't be opened up, find ways to charge people fees.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening is, of course, the people at the top, this was into the mega millions, the people at the top retired, went and got another job. But the people at the bottom, they end up losing their Series 7 licenses. They lost all kinds of stuff, got fired, a record tarnished now. They may not have went to jail, but a lot of them did get in trouble. So you're right about that thing. And here's the thing though, like they were probably fearful, like if I don't do this, I can never make this much money again. And a lot of times we do the most silliest thing based upon fear. So that's a good topic that you have, fear, because definitely something pervasive. And I try to watch the movie Apocalypto every now and then. I don't know if you remember that with Mel Gibson, because that movie was about fear.
Yep. I like that you brought that movie up, because it's one that I like to check in with periodically as well. So just for our listeners, so they can actually get some tips. One thing that I say is self-assessment and self-awareness is the key to really identifying if fear, imposter syndrome, second guessing, limiting beliefs are in the way, right? So I want you to think of one tip or one tangible thing that has worked for you, whether it's a self-care method, whether it's assessing your environment and really saying, okay, I've been rocking with this crew and it's really not feeding me like it should be. So like, what is something that you can do or that you want to share with our listeners to fight fear or to combat fear when it shows up? What would be a tip that you could provide for them?
So when you're in the moment, and I'm just thinking about myself, and I wouldn't be able to answer this question unless I have been through some of these things myself.
Yep.
Because when you're in the moment, it's too difficult to see. What did they say? You can't see past the trees or some craziness. I forget what the saying is.
Past the trees or trees past the forest. Something like
that, right? Meaning you can't really see past that present moment.
Right.
And so we get caught up in our own thinking at the current time. And now that I'm wiser, and when I mean wiser, not meaning that I know the answers, wiser meaning that I know who to ask the question to. And so now what I do to prevent myself from, experiencing that trauma again is I can look into the future by either learning about it in a book or talking to a specialist in that area, whether it be an attorney who's just advising me on strategy, whether it be another person in the industry that has already gone through that. That's really my way of looking into the future of my current situation. And then I'm hopefully smart enough to now take those assessments and realize these are the possibilities for me. I got A, that can happen, or B, that can happen. Now I have to choose what I think is the best and make the decision. Just like now, like today, I remember, who was it? My son, he had this girlfriend, some little girl he had met. I think they were in middle school or high school, I forget. And I can see she wasn't the one for him, right? The whole situation was a little crazy. She was dating one of his friends.
Yeah.
They were doing, and then all of a sudden now she dating him. Then she dated my son's friend. I'm like, dude, listen, this is not the one for you. He couldn't see it.
Yep.
Right. But if he was smart enough, she eventually ended up being not the one for him, for sure. He realized that after a while. But the only way I know that is because I've seen that situation so many times before.
Right.
Right. And if he would listen, and I say he, meaning other people out there, if you would just listen to other people that have already walked in your shoes, that is one of the things you can do. It doesn't have to be avoiding something negative, but it could also be something that happened positive, because by them telling you what happened to them or suggesting to you what not to do, now you can turn it into a positive and not waste your time, not waste your money. Then there's tons of people out there who have done great things who were in the same situation as you were. I'm not the most religious guy, but in the book, it does say there's nothing new under the sun. And there isn't. So something has already happened that you're in, and all you have to do is probably 20 people you can go talk to that have been through your exact same thing you can go talk to and either avoid something happening to you that's not good, right? Or help you do something that is awesome. So that's what I do now. Sometimes I sit still, I sit quiet. I do journal. I don't journal every day like I should, but journaling, being quiet, and I ask a lot of questions, LaShana.
Oh, I know you ask a lot of questions, but that's one of the things I love about you, KhaazRa, because at the end of the day, knowledge is power. And when you ask questions, both people get to critically think and even assess if it's a good fit for both parties, right? So I would love to just keep going, but as we know, time is of the essence. So what I want to do, I want to wrap up by asking both of us, we're going to look in the camera and we're going to have a quick conversation with fear. And what I mean by that, and yes, I'm putting you on the spot, it's just dear fear. And it could be one sentence, it could be a blurb. And I'm doing this with each one of my guests because I want us to make sure that we are being intentional to talk to fear. I don't know if you've been on my Instagram, but I have this little paper and marker thing where I'm writing out dear fear and I'm talking to it in the moment. It is something very random. Like one time I said, dear fear, F you, right? And I tell people, I need you to be as assertive with fear as you are with the bill collectors. When the bill collectors call, when somebody calls that is holding you accountable and you don't want to do it, you impose, you push back, you're aggressive, you're assertive. Am I lying or am I lying?
No, you're right.
So I will go and then I'll have you go and we'll wrap up and let's get it. Dear fear.
Okay.
Every day when you show up, I appreciate you, but I'm not carrying you. And the reason why I say that is because you are necessary, but you're not needed. You see, many times we feel like fear just should not show up at all, but I think it motivates us. So I want to thank you for being here, but now you can be on your way.
I like it.
Yeah, like I'm talking directly to fear. So you're up.
Okay. And mine is similar, but dear fear, I do appreciate you as well because I need you in times of danger. I need you because sometimes I need to pause before I just jump without thinking, before I take actions without thinking, before I do something that I'll possibly will regret or that could harm my family or myself. But dear fear, there are many times when I don't need you and I need to just go. I have the information. I have my arsenal with me. I've asked tons of questions. I've spoken to everybody that I need to speak to. I sat still, I sat quiet. And now I just need to take action and I don't need you at the present moment. But thank you.
Peace out, fear. We ain't need you no more.
That's it.
I love it. How did that feel, KhaazRa? I know it was weird. I know I put you on the spot, but you rocked it out. I feel like it's therapeutic.
You know what? I will find out in a few minutes.
Once we log off, you're gonna be like,
yeah, I've never done that before. So yeah, it's definitely new. But yeah, I can see being able to talk to yourself like that is really, really therapeutic for sure.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you for being brave. Thank you for pushing fear to the side. Let everybody know where they can find you and what it is exactly. When they think of KhaazRa, they need to think of what? Because I want to make sure that everybody gets plugged in.
Okay. So I have something. They don't have to remember my hard to spell name anymore. They don't even have to go to my payment processing page. What they can do is they can go to www.buildgrowandscale.com, right? I'm not selling anything per se, but they can go there and get free weekly videos, right? It's totally free. And when people think of me, they need to think of a person that can help them build, grow, and scale their business because I've seen not every business under the sun, but we work with so many different businesses, LaShana. And from huge, gigantic, multi-million-dollar restaurants to smoke shops, to grocery stores, to medical offices, all the way to the online guru selling digital courses, high ticket, low ticket, selling nutritional products in the coaching space, like everything, right? And so I'm taking all of that experience, what I see on the front end of building a business myself, and also what I see on the back end of helping other people build their businesses, in conjunction with still, being in touch with people, because I think that a lot of people work for money, and I think money should be working for us instead. And so to me, I want to make money. I need money. We all need money, right? It's like oxygen, they say, right? But family to me is still the foundation. And so when I think about my family and I'm doing business with other people, I'm thinking about their family as well.
I love that.
So I still think that is a missing element in today's, especially with today, everybody's just going for money, 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 money. Mm-hmm. And I want to say you could build, grow, and scale. At the same time, you can still keep your ethics, still keep your morals, still keep the foundation of family, which is extremely important. So when you think of me, think of build, grow, and scale your business, and hopefully in conjunction with your life.
Amazing. Thank you so much, KhaazRa. I'm going to have you back in a couple months if you are okay with that. I always like talking to you. It's like emotional intelligence on steroids. The conversations are always so dope. Thank you again. And you're very welcome. And for our listeners, make sure you're following the Bay Podcast, and also check me out on @Miss West Creative Coach so you can get snippets of this and more. See you guys later.